And welcome to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ante, my co-host, Kyle Heath. This is where we cover all esports personalities, video game related news, gaming industry, new and upcoming games, and technology innovation. But what we like to do at the start of every show is cover what we've been up to. So Kyle, what have you been doing, man?
Oh,
you been gaming?
I did play some games this weekend.
What have you been gaming?
Week. I continued Remnant a little bit. Remnant from the Ashes.
Okay.
Got some more time in there. Made it a little bit further, not a lot. We got a few hours in, but the difficulty we're playing at, it's not like saying we got a few hours in is probably like 30 minutes to an hour on a normal playthrough. So, but it's still
Fair.
fun.
Yeah.
Play some of that. And it's funny. I had this really weird urge over the weekend to actually play some to hop on some Minecraft servers. Just like, I don't know, like, and particularly, have you ever played Minecraft prison servers? It sounds weird, but like, have you ever played it?
Dude, I gotta admit, I haven't played Minecraft in a very long time, like very, very long time.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm out of it on that one.
It's like, so essentially, I just wanted to play a prison server, and the idea of these type of servers that you go in and you have these different mines that you work on, and you kind of go up in levels, and with each level you go to a different mine, you get different materials, you can sell it back. And it's kind of like a system like that where you're trying to mine your way out of prison, right? So it's kind of like you're just kind of working away. But there's something therapeutic about like just doing that and then just like throwing on like a show or a podcast or something and just kind of vibing out for a little while.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was doing. And I was doing specifically like an OP prison. So essentially like those type of prisons are like you get these insanely spec'd pickaxes and you break like a million blocks at once and you're just like speeding through like a mine, just like mining a ton of blocks. It's like a prison server on steroids, but I think it's more fun because it's just like I don't know, the dopamine's higher because you're just going quicker and you're just mining a bunch. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I was vibing out. I threw on some like Netflix documentaries and I was just kind of like listening to that and just mining for a little bit on Saturday and Sunday, and it was fun. It was enjoyable. So even got some of the boys in on it. We were all just chilling in a call, just talking and mining. So I don't know. It's a weird kind of like if you have nothing to do, like it's hop on for a couple hours and just like finally get to some documentaries or some podcasts you haven't listened to yet, and I don't know, you can kind of zone out. It's fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I kind of do that with Rocket League, but I do it in Rocket League ranked where you really shouldn't be doing that. I don't know why, but I like to solo queue ranked games all the time, not really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did that. Played some Minecraft, played some Remnant. Other than that, I don't think I got into anything else. It was really just kind of between those two and just chilling out. Call a little football. Could be catching football this weekend. You know the drill.
Very nice. Yeah, of course.
Some of that. And, I think it'll be fun. So, but yeah, I'll probably get some more Minecraft in hopefully this week. And this week also too. Who knows if I'll get anything else in, because there's an important game that is already out for the pre-order access by the time people are watching this. So
that's a fact.
We'll see. I'll definitely have some stuff to report on to next week. Because on top of that, also got a little work vacay going on the next few days. So I have plenty of time to kind of play some games and report back. So should have a nice little report for next week. Excited, but yeah.
I'm really excited to hear the feedback, man, because the game comes out. Did you do the pre-order?
So
we're talking about Starfield, by the way.
Starfield, yeah.
Yeah.
So Starfield pre-order, you could pre-order it. I know you could pre-order it now. I haven't. I think it's like I'm gonna pre-order the premium edition through Xbox because with Game Pass you can just spend like $31 or something like that, and then you get like access to the premium digital edition, which gets you the pre-order access without having to pay $100. Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, like I mean, what can I say? Bethesda hasn't released an RPG in years, and you know what? I mean, this is the thing too, Mike. I'm just gonna say this up front too. I'm going to see. I think review embargo lifts on Thursday. So it was yesterday when review embargo isn't lift by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
So based upon that, I mean, I'm probably still going to get the game because I want to see it for myself, and like $30 is something I'm just like whatever. I think it's worth it regardless. But yeah. Like I'm going to get that. It launches at like 8 p.m. or something like that on Thursday, so it's like a weird kind of. It's like really early kind of thing. So you can kind of get access to that at like later on in the evening. So I'll probably get it then and play some. And I plan to log some hours this weekend to say the least. So should be exciting. But so yeah, I mean, I'll be playing some of that, and Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to reviews because I think reviews will drop like before the actual pre-order drop launches. So it's good to. I don't want to see too much about it. I just want to hear like overall ratings and stuff from people. Just kind of see what they give it, and then
Yeah,
who knows? That may take my expectations from like here to up in the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So I try not to get too excited, but I'm also trying not to like consume too much information because I just want to be able to experience the game. So
that's
we'll
true.
see.
Yeah, you don't
We'll see.
want to like spoil it for yourself.
Yeah,
So
not at all. But yeah, so I don't know. That's that'll probably end up being most of my game time this week. So I'll have a lot to report back. I feel like for next week.
yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, for people that don't know, Kyle's been super hype. Not only that, but you currently have your Discord status set to I have Starfield Copium and I am proud.
What can I
It's
say? You
like
know,
you've had that for like what, 2 weeks now?
dude,
You've been
look,
patiently
dude,
waiting.
I hate it, but at the same time, it's just like it's Bethesda. If they didn't make Fallout New Vegas, I wouldn't be this hyped. Let's just put it that way. If they
That's
didn't.
fair.
Those
Yeah,
original Fallout games are just like they're fire, man. And it's like they just like if Fallout 4 was good too. Like arguably, I think it didn't hit as hard for me as New Vegas because obviously like New Vegas was like the first game I played, so it's
right.
hard to hit like the first impression kind of thing.
That's
And I'm
true.
not expecting that with Starfield, but like a new RPG, especially a Bethesda RPG, like haven't played one in a hot minute. Hasn't been a new one in a hot minute, so I'm excited regardless.
Very nice, man. I'm excited for you. I'm going to be paying attention to it, but I think my goal right now is to really knock out Tears of the Kingdom. I knocked out Breath of the Wild. I want to do Tears of the Kingdom. Cyberpunk has that DLC coming out later. I
Yeah.
still haven't beaten the game yet. I think I'm decently far, but I don't know how far yet. So trying to juggle like which ones I need to knock out is really bothering me right now. You
Yeah.
know?
I saw Cyberpunk was releasing the 2.0 update before Phantom
They
Liberty,
are.
which is interesting. So
Yeah,
all
that
the
is pretty
features
interesting.
will come out first and then the
It's going to be
DLC.
good. All
God,
the features look pretty amazing from Gamescom and everything that they showed.
like
So
by the time this comes out, we're already here. It's September, ladies and gentlemen. Like this is it. You know what I'm saying? This is a lot of releases this month, so it's exciting.
yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, next week's episode, I think we should really cover the main games that are coming out
Of course,
for
you
the
already know.
month. Just because it's like we do kind of record this before Friday to make sure we have enough time to edit, and
Yeah,
we like, yeah, not trying to rush out the door and kill ourselves.
yeah,
So,
definitely
but
not.
yeah, so we'll get into that next week. Plus, we have plenty of articles to really cover, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today, to say the least, Mike.
Yeah,
I don't know. You have
yes,
anything else to talk
sir.
about, Mike? Oh no.
Well, not much, man. I didn't do any gaming. Or, really. I
Watch.
well, I did, but I didn't. So I went to Vegas. I already talked to you about most of the trip. I won't get into that because it's like this is a video game show, not a sin and debauchery kind of show, you know? So I won't get into that. But one of the things I did check out was the esports arena. Unfortunately, I went too early in the day to actually see the arena. It's like
Oh
almost a
man.
coliseum, but I did get in the open play area and I got on there with two of my buddies. We played Rocket League a bunch. Uh, we tried to play Call of Duty, but the way Call of Duty set up, it was like really difficult to get us all in the same one.
Hmm.
We played some Apex Legends, that was kind of cool. And what was the last game? We actually finished it with Fall Guys, believe it or not.
That's
So
awesome.
we were playing like duos and stuff. Like I think we didn't get a chance to play trips. We did solos, but we also played duos. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's honestly awesome. And yeah, the esports arena has always been interesting. It's if whenever I'm sure eventually I'll go back to Vegas at some point, and when I do,
Oh
yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the esports arena. It's without a doubt.
yeah.
It's
We
on the
went to
agenda.
yeah, that's in Luxor. We
Yeah.
I'll tell you cuz it's Vegas, so time's not real there. We walked mistakenly kind of from Mandalay Bay to the Mirage. And that's basically from the south side of the strip to the north side of the strip. You could go further up the strip, go to like Circus Circus, go a little bit
Yeah.
further. No way I was going that far. But we saw every single one of the resorts, the casinos. It's just like that's a different type of gaming. It was wild
Yeah.
for sure, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It's Vegas. I mean,
Yeah.
picture
It's
The
yeah.
Hangover. That's what happened.
It's Vegas. Some people
Uh,
love it. Some people hate it. Some people haven't been. So they got to find out at
yeah,
some point. But
yeah.
good
The
city.
only thing, the only thing I'm upset about is the people I was with We're not interested in going to an EDM show. We could have seen Alan Walker, Millennium,
Come on.
Chainsmokers, Steve Aoki, and then there was one more person that was like massive that we should have seen. I can't remember right now. It was like maybe Flume, maybe? I don't know. Odessa's coming to Charlotte though, if you're want to check it out.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, that'd be sick. But
dude,
I think we're done talking about Vegas.
we are.
We should talk about what's happening with Sony and PlayStation Plus.
Oh.
Because what's happening?
Oh, that's a good question, Mike. That's a very good question. And that is Sony is raising the PlayStation Plus price up to $40 per year. And I know, Mike, we've talked about this in the past with Xbox. Xbox did something very similar to Game Pass very recently, right?
Yes.
This month, I think is even when, like, kind of, people start noticing the effects of it. Everybody subscribed, right? So
I think so, yeah.
Because I think it was like September. It's like if you already subscribed to Game Pass, it's like that's when the price goes up because you were kind of grandfathered in a month or something like that.
That's true. You get grandfathered in, and then now you can't. Pretty much. By the time people hear this, they can't.
Yeah. And now Starfield's out and stuff too, so like, all right, it's worth it at this point,
And Forza are on the horizon.
It's true, yeah, it's true. Anyways, the cheapest tier is going to be going from $60 to $80 per year. And let's find out more. I pulled this article from The Verge. Emma Roth wrote this one. We reported many Emma articles in the past.
We really have.
Sony is raising the price of its PlayStation Plus subscription next month. The service's annual essential plan will go from $60 to $80, the extra plan from $100 to $135, and the premium plan from $120 to $160. The new pricing goes into effect starting September 6th. So very, very soon at the time of writing this. It's like there's no delay with this one. However, similar, I say that, but similar to Game Pass, if you are currently subscribed to PlayStation Plus, Sony's price increase won't take effect until the next renewal date or after November 6th. If you make any changes to your subscription, such as upgrades, downgrades, or buying additional time, you'll have to pay the new rate. So it's kind of like if you stay at your current tier, you might get a little grandfather. Yeah, you might get grandfathered in for a month. If not, you may have to pay the new rates. Sony says the price hikes will go into effect globally and will allow the company to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to the service. It adds that the yearly plans will still come at a discounted rate as opposed to the 1 or 3 month subscriptions that it offers. Launched last year, PlayStation Plus is Sony's answer to Xbox Game Pass, which allows you to play a rotating selection of games each month. For the month of September, PlayStation Plus will include Saints Row, Black Desert Traveler Edition, and Generation Zero. Saints Row? I mean, I've played the game, Mike. I ain't gonna lie. It took me and my boy like 10 months to beat it, right? Because it just wasn't a priority on the list. Like after the first couple playthroughs, it's like, all right, well, we'll finish it, but take a little time. So yeah,
not the heavy hitters you would expect from a PlayStation,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just they really aren't, and it's it's not the main point of the article, right? But it's like, we could even talk about PlayStation Plus though, and kind of how they're adding that subscription tier to some of them, so you can kind of have the PS Now sort of experience with it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, do you think this is the thing, and this is how I think about it. Game Pass going up in price is instantly, most subscribers are like completely justified. The fact that it was at $15 was honestly a steal, right? And the fact that it's going up just $2 a month, right? It's completely worth it. And I think most subscribers of Game Pass would agree. But do you think the similar kind of price hike to PlayStation Plus is justified, given that, it's definitely not as valuable of a service as Game Pass, if I'm being honest? It's completely unbiased opinion. It's like, I just think, I don't know. I just don't think PlayStation Plus is there, Mike. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Sony is justified in trying to increase the price of this subscription service?
No, I really want to rip apart PlayStation. We've done this a couple of times on the show, only because I want PlayStation to be really, really good for consumers, but they keep taking step backs in my eyes, Yeah. It's like the PlayStation Plus increase and everything that they keep doing, like adding this little, okay, you get like 3 games a month, cool. Rotating games. All right, what are they? They're not that good. So what's the point? oh, you just want to raise your rates more, and now they're doing it again. Basically, I don't get it, man. I really don't. I also don't like what they're doing with their hardware. We talked about it before. It's like the wireless portable screen in your home only streaming
The
device.
Portal, man. Ugh.
$200 for it. It. I feel like PlayStation is really banking on their consumers, not. I feel like they're just taking advantage of their consumers, like PlayStation fanboys, because I feel like in gaming, there's really only one diehard fan base at this point, and I think it's PlayStation. I mean, I can't speak in extremes like that. There's always exceptions to that kind of rule, but I feel like they're louder and prouder. I feel like the Xbox fanboys are kind of gone now because of Game Pass, and you can play any game you want, and they really try to like encourage you to also get on PC. You
Right.
know,
No.
whereas PlayStation doesn't do that. It's like we want you to be on console and that's it. We want you to buy the games physically. We want you to have the consoles and everything. Whereas Xbox is just happy paying a subscription. They don't care. You
Literally,
know.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Admittedly, PlayStation has better IPs. That's a fact.
I mean, it's single player first party, yes, without a doubt, right?
They do. They do. They really do. But compare $20, $17 Game Pass with basically 1,000 games on two different platforms on any device, and you can stream it from your phone, your tablet. That's what the competitor is. That's what Ultimate Game Pass is.
Yeah.
To the essential plan going from $60 to $80 or 100 to 135. You
I
know?
mean, dude, yeah, that premium plan, 120 to 160, it's like the premium plan, like 120 is like what? I mean, you could probably break it down by month and kind of see, that's what, $10 to 12 a month, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
So I mean,
And
I guess it's not terrible in that sense, but yeah, man, it's it's PlayStation. The only reason PlayStation saw skin in the game is because of their first party IP, and what they hold. And I mean, with Spider-Man 2 coming out, it's just going to be more of like a powerhouse. But at the same time, they're moving to PC eventually, right? So it's an interesting kind of thing. Eventually, that PlayStation like fan base, I I feel like will kind of shrink and mold into PC at some point if they keep this route. Excuse me, if they keep this route of like moving PlayStation games to PC. But it's a weird, interesting thing to say the least.
you know what? I just got more information. Okay. So I went on to the PlayStation.com website and went to PS Plus, PlayStation Plus. And first of all, you open up everything and you can't see the membership costs until you actually add it to your cart. Kind of skeezy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what they list are for the premium plan. So we're talking the top of the plan, right? This is the one that's going to go from 120 to 160. It's covering monthly games, online multiplayer, exclusive discounts. Okay. Exclusive content. Not a fan, but whatever. Cloud storage. Uh, can't really play on cloud for PlayStation. You got the share play. Game help. Okay, cool. You might have somebody actually like give you lessons and cheats and stuff. That's cool. Game catalog, which I feel like is no different than monthly games or exclusive content. Maybe if you
Yeah.
got the Last of Us game catalog to like help you get through the game, that makes sense. There's a classics catalog and a Ubisoft Plus classics. Okay. You got game trials, probably for free, and then cloud streaming. And yeah, those numbers are $17 a month, $18 a month. But when you look at the games, it's I'm not sure if it's all that worth it.
Mm.
Still,
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm.
Mm.
You know. Uh. Yeah, man.
It's a lot of games. It's just I still feel like Xbox is the better deal, and I'm trying not to be biased against PlayStation because I really want them to make a Sony TV with PlayStation in it. But like, I really want that.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Microsoft was first to the game, and they kind of perfected it with how many publishers they have under their umbrella and how many they're getting after this Activision Blizzard deal.
It's very true. Yeah.
The good news is the tie-in the Ubisoft Plus Classics.
Yeah.
I wonder if they can sign a deal with Ubisoft to have the Activision Blizzard streaming rights as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they could, right? I think
Yeah.
that could certainly open some doors there. Um, yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I mean the library is obviously I think lacking a little bit still, but for me, like this is the thing. If PlayStation, if they had some sort of integration with the PC market the way Xbox does, it'd be a different story. I think for people like me
Yes.
too, who are so because like I'm all PC at this point, right? Like I don't have a Series X, I don't have a PS5, not yet at least. But it's like, and granted, putting stuff on PC obviously lowers console sales, but I think overall, and I hope Microsoft has proven that, like, I mean, at that point, once you get a subscription model that works on anything, I mean, you're making so much money at that point that console sales are a drop in the bucket, right? So I think, I think for me, ideally, if like Sony was to release these on PC as well somehow, I mean, they would eventually get neck and neck with Xbox again. I think the competition would be there. Because like for me, like the only way I'm still like so bullish on Xbox is because they are so invested in the PC market. I feel like Sony isn't, which is unfortunate. And I wish Sony games came out on PC at like I guess a quicker rate. I wish it wasn't as long of a timed exclusive for a lot of these launches, right? Because Spider-Man sounds like a year. I mean, we're talking like
It's
Days
yeah.
Gone was like 4, but that's before they started really working on kind of bringing their games to PC. So it'd be nice, I think, if they eventually kind of migrate and try to incorporate PC in a more kind of one-to-one level and like day and date kind of level that Xbox has. So I'd certainly be more excited about kind of PlayStation stuff and maybe would justify these kind of price hikes a little bit more in my eyes. But, if you're in the PlayStation market, I mean, and if you're like diehard PlayStation, maybe this isn't that much of an issue for you. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard for us to speak on it, I think, to a certain extent because we're not as invested with like the PlayStation ecosystem. But I mean,
True.
I don't know. Overall, I think, just from at least from a PC gamer's perspective, like mine, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, that now I'm that much more inclined to try and get a PlayStation, service right now. It's like it's just not there for me.
Yeah, I think that's really where you and I are hung up on the whole PlayStation Plus. It's not in PC, like you said.
Yeah.
Them raising rates to essentially compete against Xbox, it I don't think it makes much sense unless you're. It's like, do they really value their IPs that much, like their brand new IPs? Because I went to their PlayStation Plus catalog just a second ago, even the premium plan, and I didn't see things like Spider Man there. And I would imagine it's like if your selling point for PlayStation Plus, it should be your newest and biggest IP at the
I
time.
mean, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I didn't really see that. I didn't see Last of Us, although it probably is. Like, I would
Hmm.
expect that.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. That wasn't the first thing I saw. Whereas if you compare that to Xbox Game Pass, the first things you see is like the Master Chief. You're gonna see Forza. You're gonna see like Gears of War. Even they haven't had a game in what feels like 20 years,
Yeah.
and it's like they have Gears of War up on there. You
I mean,
know,
dude, newest IP, Starfield. If you open the Xbox
it
app on
is
PC,
facts.
there is a tab dedicated to Starfield.
It's- yeah,
like that
day
is
one Game Pass. That's like
which
their favorite thing in the
which like
world.
I mean, which surprised me because like I updated the Xbox app today in preparation of pre-ordering, and it's like you open it and you just see a Starfield tab under Games, Library, Home, like the major nav menu. It's like it's just there, right? So
Yeah,
they're promoting that IP. Which, I
they
gotta
really
give them
are.
props for.
Yeah, all of it too. And I do feel like the cloud streaming for Xbox is going to be a little bit better for now. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know, man. I just feel like the way PlayStation's been making moves lately, it's been trying to keep up with Xbox and their streaming software and also trying to like get more out of their consumers, their customers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
don't
fair.
I feel like it's like a one-sided relationship. They just keep raising rates and trying to get more out of you.
Which I feel like a
So,
lot of people, especially if you're in that ecosystem, will probably pay, right? Like, I
yeah,
mean, but we'll see. Um,
I mean, we can get into like the Apple ecosystem. That's perfection on
literally,
ecosystems.
that's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
maybe.
mean,
I feel like they're trying to be the Apple of like gaming. Really?
can't,
Yeah, Nintendo's kind of like that, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
me, I got a
Well,
droid. Call me that guy. But a droid.
that's ancient too, but I give you props, your loyalty to that phone. I'd say.
That phone is 5 years old. Yeah, it's finally the camera's
Loyalty.
finally given out. Software issues
Oh man.
because they're up in the software, but I got the old hardware, so it slows down.
Yeah. Oh
But
man.
it's
Oh
unfortunate.
dude. Speaking of new hardware, that's a good segue right there.
Oh yeah, that is a good segue. This is pretty cool. I'm glad you pulled this article.
Oh.
So this is coming from The Verge again, and this is Sean Hollister, who we've covered multiple times. He's been with The Verge for like I don't even know how long, but he's been doing stuff like this for over 15 years. It looks like
CNET, Gizmodo. We're talking major publishers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope I don't butcher the name of this. Let me preference that
It's a
because
tough one.
I did look it up.
It's a tough one.
So Ayaneo. Ayaneo.
Oh, I
Or
like that.
It's
It
either
sounds right.
Ayaneo or Ayaneo. I'm pretty sure it's Ayaneo.
Ayaneo is how I'd say it. I'll just say that.
Ayaneo is what we're rolling with. So the title of the article is the Ayaneo Kun. Kun?
I think
Yeah,
it's
Kun
I
10.
want to say Kun, like Ayaneo Kun, because like if you, but this is the
Yeah.
anime coming out because like it's
Yeah,
I
I think-
used to watch anime a lot. It was a lot of names with Kun at the end and stuff like that. So you know,
Like this? K-U-N?
yeah, like
Kun?
you know, a
All right,
name
let's
with-
do Kun
I don't know what it means. All right, don't come at me, okay?
All right. Well, all I know is like this isn't a paid advertisement. Whoever's listening is going to remember that.
Yeah.
So the Ayaneo Kun
Yeah.
nearly doubles the Steam Deck's battery for nearly twice the price. So on paper, it's the ultimate PC gaming handheld. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they really actually go into detail about it. And this is what we were talking about, how handhelds in the UK, was it UK or was it Europe? I think it was Europe overall. They're going to have to do portable batteries in pretty much all electronics moving forward after a certain date. So the Steam Deck's biggest weakness is battery life. And yet somehow every challenger has failed to raise that bar. The Ayaneo 2 showed us that AMD's Ryzen 6800U wasn't ready to compete. And the Asus Rogue Ally revealed that AMD's Z1 Extreme couldn't pull ahead if Asus insisted on matching the Steam Deck's 40 watt-hour battery life. Basically, all these handhelds, you need a charger constantly with you.
Yeah, you do.
So, but Ayaneo may have an answer. It's stuffing a 75 watt-hour pack into a larger, heavier handheld called the Ayaneo Kun that it now claims can last nearly 3.25 hours. 3.5 hours. So 3 hours and 45 minutes. Weird way to say 3 hours 25 minutes. 15? Jeez. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Sorry, I'm running on lack of sleep and jet lag. All right, so that's nearly double the battery and runtime you expect from a Steam Deck at that wattage, though it appears it wasn't captured while playing a game exactly. Okay, so this one could be kind of fishy here. I'm trying to zoom in on this image. It's a weird color.
Yeah, like click it and I can enhance it. But...
Yeah.
No.
So it basically gets into their Ayaneo Kun battery life test, and it's a continuous battery life at 15 watts. Will last 3 hours, 13 minutes, 54 seconds. Pretty much has the results are only for the game tested by Ayaneo and are for reference only, and the test results are only for the environmental tested by Ayaneo. In different environments tested will result in different results. So basically what they're talking about is the relationship between the amount of electricity usage based on time. So 1 hour you get 73, 2 hours you got 45, 3 hours you got 15, 3 hours 13 minutes you get 2.9%. Basically, it's just a gauge of how much battery it'll use at given percentages.
Right.
Which that's got to attribute to life too. Not life, quality of the game and experience.
Yeah.
Is it the less battery life you have, the slower it's got to get, so it doesn't waste more energy.
Right. Yeah. It's
Interesting way to do it.
It is. It is.
So let's get into this even further. The Verge already mentioned that the Ayaneo Kun a couple of times before, but today the company revealed its full array of features, price, and expected ship window, and that you'll be able to crowdfund it on September 5th if you're willing to pay with no guarantees. People that crowdfund just throwing away money, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
in my
it's a
opinion.
dicey spot, huh?
It's 100% a gamble. Definitely do research on it before you get into it. So going back to who wrote this, Sean Hollister gives his opinion. Personally, I'd wait, but there's no question that this handheld has the strongest spec sheet yet. Starting with a comparatively large 8.4-inch 2560 by 1600 500 nit 90% DCI P3 color IPS screen. Basically, it's real pretty. It does 2560 by 1600, and it's about the size of a Steam Deck. It's kind of sick.
And see,
It looks clean, dude.
It does, dude. That IPS panel is probably gonna look really good too. It's like any
Oh
IPS
yeah.
display in a little handheld always pops.
Oh yeah.
And like
Always.
getting into the handheld botting kind of scene that I've been kind of researching and stuff
Yeah,
the
it's
past
true.
couple months, like IPS displays are huge, and like whether it's Game Boys, PSPs, like a lot of that, right?
Mhm.
So it's like IPS is certainly, I think, the best. So the fact that they're going with that, I mean, yeah, it's huge. And I mean, the screen itself is noticeably bigger, right, compared to a Steam Deck. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
very cool stuff, honestly, coming out of this.
All right, let's go a little bit further. Ayaneo seems to have heard how some people prefer the Steam Deck's ergonomics and loads of buttons to its own previous handhelds too. So the Kun adds bigger grips, dual touchpads. That's actually pretty interesting. Where they're putting the touchpad, each with 4 distinct buttons underneath, quad back buttons, beefier triggers, and even a little kickstand reminiscent to the original Nintendo Switch. And you got to show the people what that looks like. That looks clean.
Does look pretty clean, I ain't gonna lie.
That's a really really cool profile. And one of my complaints, and I mentioned this before on the show, is how the Nintendo Switch, when I hold it, it's like my hands get pancakey,
It's so
like
true, though.
puppet
It's like,
style, and like I get really bad like hand cramps, like palm cramps
yeah,
because of it.
God, it's so true. It's
So to
not
see that
ergonomic in
curvature
the
is cool.
slightest. You know what I'm saying? So
No,
it's
it's
like,
not. Yeah, and I
upsetting.
got like big hands, so it's like just weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
So
I just have to say those triggers, they remind me of an Elite controller in this picture.
I
They
was
look
I was gonna say
just
that
like
too.
it's kind of crazy, right? Like they look just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Like at least the side profile of it. I think
Right, yeah.
the rest of it is like kind of meaty, but it looks good.
Yeah.
That'd be wild to just see somebody pull out at an airport when you're chilling.
All
But
right.
hey. All right, so let's go further into this article. There's also a little Windows Hello front facing camera underneath the back or select button for face login and streaming. Something most handhelds have entirely omitted, as well as Hall effect joysticks and triggers to avoid drift. How many times we talk about that stuff on the pod?
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's I got to say like it's a Kickstarter or crowdfund, right? So it's like
Oh yeah,
a grain of salt, but like dude, that type of stuff has most people foaming at the mouth. Like you're going to put a Hall effect
100%.
joysticks, you're going to have it so that you try to avoid drift in any given scenario. Like come on.
So cool, and the triggers, That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Uh, so HD linear motors for Rumble, like the Switch and the DualSense, those feel fantastic, and an optional 4G module for cellular connectivity. There's a nano SIM slot hidden underneath the kickstand. Brother, that is
Oh
so
man,
many features in a little handheld right there.
dude. This is going
I
to
don't think
be
people
a
really understand how insane that is.
this is going to be a dense unit. You're packing in all this tech, and then like cellular and stuff like that too. It's like that's like another layer, and that's going to
Yeah.
add more weight. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I don't know. For me, I like a device. Like one of the things I like about iPhone is how dense it feels because it's like they pack everything very compact. It's just like you can tell it's like a solid device, and so I love that out of my like kind of handheld stuff. But I don't know, for weight for some people, I don't know. It's maybe it's a deal breaker for some. But I mean, you got this much tech in there and you got this much going for it. I mean, there's a lot of positives here. So hopefully we actually see it come to life.
It's got me concerned, okay? From like an engineering background that I have. That amount of features in there, you're gonna have to have really beefy setup and like what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Um it's not smooth, but it's like intentional software to make everything function properly, right?
Yeah.
And then the other bit of it is how are you going to keep it cool if it's going to have a longer battery life than the Steam Deck? Because like
It's true
that
too, yeah.
that much stuff is going to generate a lot of energy. That energy needs to go somewhere. Like, have you ever had your phone on your cheek when you're walking outside in the South and it's like 100 degrees out?
No.
It's like it's hell, like almost on a literal sense. So if you're holding that thing, it's like, dude, just
Yeah.
don't make a Samsung phone where they might blow up.
It's a good point. I mean, there's a giant vent on the back that we can see, kind of on the right hand side.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, there's a lot of tech in there. And also, I just think about it from like a teardown perspective. Like if you want to try and repair something yourself, like depending
oh,
on what's
good
packed in
luck.
there, it could be a nightmare trying to open the thing up and fix something. Like that
It's
probably
gonna
won't
be
be
like
fun.
it's gonna be like a stereotypical like German automotive car, or like that was their done a Jodov automotive machine, the engine, where you're just like you have to take off 3 different parts to get to one little one, because
Yep.
they like
Yeah.
build a puzzle in with it. But
Uh,
this is a long article, so let me start picking up the pace here.
yeah.
Uh, where did I last end on? Okay, so I'm at, and while it houses the same AMD Ryzen 7840U chip you'll find in many boutique PC gaming handhelds this year, the company claims its massive cooling system can crank that APU all the way up to 54 watts in its turbo mode, far higher than the 30-watt turbo that the Asus Rogue Ally can do. Kind of nuts. And
It's
I
pretty
love
crazy.
it. The next thing is the opinionated stuff that I basically was talking about from Sean. So it goes, is that practical? Perhaps not, as it looks like largely a 7% to 10% boost in frame rates over the 30-watt mode in the company's own tests. Do, however, check the jump from 34 FPS to 43 FPS in The Witcher 3, which is no joke. Ayaneo straight up says 54 watts is not recommended for daily use as the main TDP, which means you're going to get wear and tear if you overclock your stuff, basically.
Yeah, and your mileage varies, as they say.
Oh,
Across
100%. You got to treat your
places.
stuff with like respect and clean it properly.
Sure do.
But the Kun also houses a full length M.2 2280 SSD slot for up to 8 terabytes of internal storage. That's insane.
It's pretty wild.
Whereas the deck and many competitors top out at 2 terabytes because you can only fit one chip on their single-sided M.2 2230 SSDs. Jeez, man. Should we get into these quick numbers real quick
Yeah, let's
on
go for it.
the FPS? So when the game's on 1200p low and you can adjust, it looks like they had 3 different power levels: 15, 30, and 54 watts. On games like Forza Horizon 5, you'll go from anywhere from 54 to 63 frames per second, with 15 watts to nearly double of 80 and 87.
Yeah, that's
And
insane.
then, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Optimization. Gotta have optimized software to do stuff like this. Let's do one more. Horizon Zero Dawn. At 15 watts, you're going from 35 to 36-ish frames per second to get a small boost at 54 watts to 41 to 43 frames per second.
Gosh. See, that's like not big of a return, and I would not risk the mileage of my device to try and get like 4 frames. That's just me.
No, I wouldn't. You're not going to notice anything really.
Right.
Like you're going to notice 30 frames per second if you're used to 60. You're definitely going to notice
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to notice 36 to 40.
Yeah, you're not.
You know? There's no.
Yeah, definitely not.
So here is where we get into the pricing. This is how it's going to work. Let's talk about the pricing sheet. And then I think they pretty much get into, Sean gets into a little bit of the crowdfunding and his take and opinion on it. But I just want to focus right now on this price and configuration. So ANU is pricing the Kun starting at $1,200 essentially retail for 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage, stretching all the way up to 1949, so 1950, $1,950 for 64 gigabytes of RAM and a 4 terabyte SSD. Early bird prices start around $200 less. The Steam Deck starts around $400, but with only a 64 gigabyte of eMMC storage. And while Sean took that route and swapped out the drive himself, he thinks it's fair to say the Kun is roughly twice the price if we compare 512 gigabytes versus 512 gigabyte models, which that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
So the early bird specials $200+ cheaper in some cases. There is an official retail value that is slightly higher than, I guess that's Indiegogo retail.
Indiegogo. Yeah, Indiegogo is like
Indiegogo?
another. It's another Kickstarter essentially.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Where do you stand on it?
It's
Is this something you would purchase? Would you crowdfund this?
no. I'll be honest. I mean, It's interesting. So there's a prototype that he played around with in a video. I'll kind of show that. Or this is like on. I'm pretty sure this is on like kind of one of the the founders, or maybe like a YouTuber that kind of showed off the device a little bit, but he kind of did an unboxing of it, and I mean, it looks pretty cool. This is the thing, like, I'm all for pushing the handheld market because obviously it's had a resurgence since like the Steam Deck came out and everything, and Take-Two's ROG and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I am definitely for kind of pushing this market. I mean, personally, for me, I definitely wouldn't like buy this early just because like we just don't know how it's going to perform, and it's hard to say with devices like this, and especially after what we're reading with how packed this thing is with tech, it's hard to say what the mileage is going to be like on a lot of this stuff. So it's one of those things I'd love to see kind of reviews of it. But I mean, it's cool just to kind of see. It's cool to see kind of a prototyped version that kind of in action to kind of see like, oh yeah, like we did. It is there. There is one that's made, and you can kind of see, kind of how it'll function and everything. But yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of long term how this goes. But I mean, the display looks amazing. I think I think the approach to kind of being able to overclock the device is really cool because a lot of these I feel like it's hard to do, but this one kind of encourages that to a certain extent. So I think that's pretty cool, being able to kind of have that customization, being able to do that without having to tear the thing down or try and dip in liquid nitrogen to get it to run faster. So I think that's pretty cool, and seeing the kind of trigger comparisons too with the Steam Deck is pretty cool because the trigger. I mean, it just I don't know. This thing looks like it's a way more comfortable grip and the triggers are just like probably going to be better than a Steam Deck. So I'm excited for that. I think it'll be cool, and it's also cool just to see the inputs because it's like there's USB-A, USB-C, there's different inputs, and kind of I just love the size of the vent. The vent is like way bigger on this thing compared to the Steam Deck. So
looks like they answered my concerns. I was like, how are they going to cool it? Oh, giant fan. Gotcha. Cool.
I feel like it's going to be like my work machine that has an exhaust pretty similar to that on the side. And sometimes I'll set a drink down next to it, not thinking about it, and then I'll pick it up and the bottom's like heat. And I'm just like, oh well. But yeah, it's I don't know, overall I'll be interested to see kind of how this performs, but I mean, just from a practical standpoint of use, I would definitely prefer this over a Steam Deck in terms of just kind of a long-term use, just from looking at it, not even using it.
I agree.
So, yeah, no, I'm interested to hear more about this, and I'm interested to see if it's a success out of crowdfunding and everything, because that'll be huge to see. So that's kind of my thoughts, I would say, about what I think about the Ayaneo, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, Ayaneo. Yeah. I'm pretty much on board with you, man. I think the Steam Deck has a little bit better functionality. It's more affordable. You can customize it yourself because it's basically a PC. I would wonder if the Ayaneo, when people like finally get their hands on it, if it has that type of customizability with the hardware improvements.
Yeah.
Because if you get all of that, it might be worth the money. It really might, because it's a better screen, more storage. If on the higher end, right? More storage on the higher end. Looks like it has better cooling. The battery lasts longer. And the kicker could be for a lot of people is you can actually have this what's it called? An SD card to get actual cellular communication.
Yeah, like a nano SD.
Yeah, nano SD, thank you. So that could be a thing. Also more storage. That 8 terabyte storage is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, dude, on paper, this thing's way better than a Steam Deck, right? So it's one of those things. I think, I think after some use and kind of long term stuff, it'd be interesting to see kind of how it performs. Yeah, but overall, I mean, I like what I see in terms of like specs. And yeah, I mean, and like you're saying, if the customization, and the customizability is there, then it's probably worth that price tag, right? And if you're in the market for a handheld, it's certainly something to see. And it's cool just seeing him on File Explorer on Windows on this little screen. Right. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's an actual computer. Let's go.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and all those connection points too. I bet you can integrate like an actual keyboard. You could probably integrate, who knows, maybe a mouse and use it as an actual computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And I think too, like, because this is literally a PC, right? I mean, you can load up an emulator. You can get like RetroArch and just load up a bunch of ROMs, and there you go. You have a nice handheld emulator. Right? I think that could be a huge selling point for people. So there's a lot of potential, I think, with this device, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a really tough sell to imagine that somebody is walking around with this device in their hands and it's like $2,000.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
It's
that's really what
pricey,
we're
man.
looking at.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
pricey.
this is
Um,
not cheap.
yeah,
So
this is definitely, if you're, I mean, and again, I won't speak too soon, but if you're looking for a handheld that's probably better than a Steam Deck, in terms of just like overall like specs, this is definitely probably something to go with. But again, we just have to see how it launches because that's the thing. Like, we don't really know until we get kind of reviews and maybe some long-term use out of people. So
yeah, this is the first I've heard about it, and it's got me intrigued. But I'm not gonna invest in crowdfunding for this.
I'm not
I would
either.
really, I would really like to wait and see what comes of it if it actually becomes a thing. And there's some things that Sean, by the way, all the links are in the description that we cover, all the articles. I mean, the links are in the description. But Sean goes on and gives his opinion at the end, essentially talking about like Ayaneo has a tendency to release something and then just kind of forget about it, move on to the next one.
Yeah,
So you might not have continual support, whereas Valve is like always supporting
yeah,
their like community, their customers with
yeah,
their software and their games.
yeah.
So
It's a
it
good point.
really,
It's a good point.
it's not as good as a brand is really what I should be saying here.
It's very true.
Just like Valve is something else entirely.
Yeah. I see that's the thing too. It's like if something major breaks with this, like is there really gonna be support for that? It's hard to say, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's a risk. It's a risk.
yeah, it's certainly a risk. It's cool to say, but it's kind of like the engineers out there that like tinker. They make these like kind of
Oh,
cool
yeah.
like variations of devices, or they make their own device. But then it's like you're on to the next project, right? Like, and then some people are
Fair.
just they have 5 projects going on because they just can't stick to one kind of thing. So, yeah,
I get it.
who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, but I think we should stay in the vein of handhelds here, Mike. This next article, because
This one's kind of wild.
this one is
I'm
pretty
excited.
cool. It's pretty cool. It's a short one too, so it won't be too long. But the next couple will be pretty short. But regardless, I just saw this was a nice little article from Polygon, talking about a new Analog Pocket, and this is it's a glow in the dark Analog Pocket. And for those that don't know, we'll read the article and find out more about what is an Analog Pocket, and you'll hear the price tag and be like, what? Anyway, so everyone's favorite new hardware to play their old games, the Analog Pocket, is getting a new green glow-in-the-dark limited edition. You can pre-order the handheld exclusively on the Analog Pocket site starting on September 1st for $250, with units shipping out on September 5th. This eerie version of the Analog Pocket is constructed with a glow-in-the-dark plastic, but uses the same flexible OS and hardware as the original black and white versions of the handheld. The Analog Pocket lets you play your old cartridges for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advanced natively on a gorgeous 1600 by 1440 LCD screen that's capable of upscaling your games or rendering your classic carts the way you remember, warts and all. Beyond its exquisite engineering, the Pocket is full of quality of life features like Bluetooth connectivity, the ability to save and suspend your games, remap your controls, and more. Personally, the biggest selling point of the Analog Pocket is that you no longer go through $20 worth of AA batteries whenever you run out of juice.
Facts.
True. It's true, man.
That's old school.
Yeah. Analog Pocket, again, I mean, the article kind of mentions it, but essentially the Analog Pocket is like a modern day Game Boy. So, like, if you just took a Game Boy through in 2023, you have USB-C charging, you have Bluetooth connectivity, you have an HD, you have a crystal clear display, and these games are essentially like, they're kind of, upscaled to a better resolution, so you're not playing the old stuff. But, and some people like the old hardware, and I can respect it. But it's one of those things. I mean, I've thought about I have a Game Boy that I've actually thought about getting like an LCD screen and like a rechargeable battery and stuff, and just kind of upgrading it because it's one of those things like at least I started to notice kind of how dated like the handhelds are when you play
they're really
them,
dated.
So it's like, a couple of those features you can certainly do. And there's even mods to like add a USB-C port in your Game Boy so you can charge it with USB-C, which I think is kind of cool.
I actually didn't know that. I've been kind of out of touch on the Game Boy market for a while.
Yeah.
So.
And especially with like rechargeable batteries, like if you get a proper rechargeable battery for say a Game Boy Advance, you can get that you can install a USB-C port to make it easier to charge and kind of allow fast charging and whatnot. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's really nuts.
And like getting those cool displays. And there's even like custom shells and stuff of like if you want to get like a different color shell that maybe Game Boy wasn't originally released in, you can do stuff like that. It's crazy when you see the retro modding like ecosystem. It's like wild what you're able to do with a lot of this stuff. But I digress. The Analogue Pocket is kind of its own thing, and someone made their own version of kind of the older style of Game Boys. And really, like, I think for a lot of people, the original Game Boy or like the Game Boy Pocket was kind of the preferred form factor, right? I think for like a Game Boy, so that's kind of what Analogue Pocket did with this. So it kind of gives you that old feel. I mean, if you get this and you get like a flash card mic, like a little flash cart, and then you can just load up a bunch of ROMs, like you're set.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You could actually it takes more work, right? So it's like you're definitely paying to have somebody do this for you. By buying the Analogue Pocket, you're basically having somebody build what the alternative is.
Exactly.
And what the alternative is like a Raspberry Pi, an LED screen, and you have to buy or make your own case.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's like they do have form factors just like this. You can get it for like half the price, but you got to do all the work yourself. It's like, who has time for that? Why don't you just pay a little bit more? So I think that's what they're going for on this
it's true.
this device.
Yeah, like
it's really cool that you can use your own cartridge though. And what I'm talking about, you had to like install everything on an SD.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, giving that kind of I say like backwards compatibility with air quotes, but yeah, it's like get the ability to kind of use the old stuff. But yeah, it's true, man. If like, and a lot of people aren't into that kind of stuff, like modding and kind of dealing with like motherboards and stuff like that, PCBs and whatnot, and like soldering. It's just not for everyone. So this is definitely a good alternative, I think, for most people. And I think it's cool.
Is also
cool. I just think it's cool that there's like a glow in the dark shell, kind of brings it back out. But yeah, this is really an excuse for me to just talk about the Analogue Pocket because like I've been like eyeballing this thing for a little bit because I think it's cool. But,
hey, it's worth talking about. I mean, if you go onto their site, you can actually see it without the blur that they're trying to go for, like the lights on, like glow in the dark stuff. It is clean, bro. It is very nice.
It is very nice.
It is very, very nice. So $250, I feel like that's kind of a steal, man. 8 hours of glow, so it's going to charge all night, or like be fluorescent. Is that the word?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, luminescent.
That
was. Yeah. So I think it's worth it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's worth it just for hardware alone, but the fact there's glow in the dark one just makes it a little bit cooler. You know,
it does make
it's like from here to here. It's like a little jump.
I don't have my old games anymore, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But this is still like kind of wild. I kind of want to get a game. Like, yeah, that might be a project I do in the future. We'll see.
Like I said, dude, all I'm saying is, Mike, look into like an Easy Flash or something like that. One of those like carts where you can just like load ROMs onto. That's kind of the way to do it now, in my opinion.
Right? It really is. It really is.
Like,
I essentially have that in a USB, like everything.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you pretty much, literally, it's just like, I think it's like $70 or something like that. It's just one cart. You can load a micro SD in it. You're good. You have everything,
Yeah.
So something like that. That's something to look into, I think, because that's quite kind of I've been looking into, and that's kind of in the future. I'm definitely going to do something like that for Game Boy stuff. So
yeah, I've been flying a lot too, and that will make my time a little bit quicker and easier.
Yeah.
So
it's cool, man. And a lot of the carts have like save states and stuff too. So if you're into that kind of stuff,
yeah, that's true.
Being able to kind of stop,
just save and come back later. Yeah, it's really cool. Load up whenever you want, and it's really awesome how they have an upgraded screen. The other thing, he said Bluetooth as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bluetooth connectivity, which means wireless earbuds, man.
Popping my AirPods, I'm good.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff's
That's
cool,
a fact.
Yeah, this is certainly a device. I think if you want a newer handheld, and you want to be able to play old stuff, it's definitely the move. So,
agreed.
You know what else is also the move? That's already happened by the time this comes out.
That's a fact. We really, man, we're gonna have to kind of cover this one later, aren't we? I'm excited for it. So this is coming from The Verge. It is Ash Parrish, who we've covered. I feel like we've covered everybody at The Verge. I was thinking about this. Maybe we should sort of like throw in their socials in the pod description so people can check them out.
I'm sure we credit them more.
Yeah, we're still crediting them though, and we leave the links in the description. So
without
further ado, so this is about Nintendo Direct. So the next Nintendo Direct is all about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So that's the new game. Now that Charles Martinet, I assume it's Martinet, is stepping back from the character. Nintendo will show off more of Mario's new voice in a 15-minute preview event on Thursday morning. Nintendo's offering a new in-depth look at Super Mario Bros. Wonder with a direct showcase slated for this Thursday, August 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So by the time everybody has heard this podcast, it already happened. That doesn't mean leave. That means check it out for yourself. Listen to us now. We're about to talk about it. And tune in next week so we can cover it. So the presentation comes a few weeks after Nintendo announced that Charles Martinet, the iconic voice of Mario. Oh man, I'm probably butchered. It's Martinet. Martinet.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I'll be honest. Martinet sounds right, but
Yeah, well, Google his name and tell me if he's French. The iconic voice of Mario is taking a step back from the role to become Nintendo's Mario ambassador. Nintendo confirmed to Polygon that Martinet would not appear as Mario in Wonder, saying, "While Charles is not involved in the game, we are excited to honor his legacy and contributions, including looking ahead to what he'll be doing as a Mario ambassador." Wonder, announced back in June, is the first new Mario platformer since the release of Super Mario 3D World and Bowser, plus Bowser's Fury, back in 2021. Despite Wonder being this year's only Mario game release, the Mario franchise has had a fantastic year with the financial success of Super Mario Bros. Movie, which grossed over $1 billion worldwide, and might win a Grammy for Jack Black's now iconic performance of Peaches. Dude, Jack Black, they're on tour. Tenacious D,
yeah.
so sick. Nintendo has promised that a special message for Martinet. Is it Martinet? Did you Google it, perhaps?
He said he's from
Martinet?
San Jose, so I don't know if he's
Oh, okay, that's Martinet. My bad. So from Martinet and CEO Shigeru Miyamoto, I definitely butchered that too. Would
Miyamoto,
be forthcoming.
Right.
Yeah, I know Miyamoto's right. I'm just gonna go by last name. This direct, it seems, will feature the message along with the possibly revealing who's taking over as the new voice of the new prolific plumber in video games. Thursday's Wonder presentation is set to last for about 15 minutes, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder releases on the Switch on October 20th. My thoughts, bro.
Hmm.
What if Chris Pratt ends up doing Mario for the foreseeable future? With all the hate that he got, that was him, right? Chris
Yeah,
Pratt in the Mario movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people hated it. They love Jack Black, did not like Mario's voice. What if he's just now the set of Mario? What if Nintendo's just
man.
like, "Oh, you didn't like that? Well, guess what the legacy is, B?"
Oh man, that'd be
Just saying,
funny.
dude.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but that'd be funny. Not gonna
Hey,
lie.
man,
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised what Nintendo does anymore. They're coming after their own like fan base at this point.
I mean, I wouldn't either. I will say that Super Mario Bros. Wonder, when I saw the initial trailer, it's like I'm excited for this. So I mean, I'm gonna tune in and see what they got to show because it seems like this is gonna be an insane game.
I feel like Nintendo Directs have been hidden more than normal, like the last year.
Yeah, especially the last one was like
It's fire.
nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. So,
Nintendo's kind of crushing it.
I mean, they always
They're kinda
crushing
crushing
it,
it.
you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like they're definitely
This year
crushing it
is
more than
like-
usual.
Yeah, this year was better than last year's. I'll give you that. You
Yeah.
know, last few years kind of like, you got Zelda, right? But it's like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I wonder what his
Cool.
role is going to be as Mario ambassador. Basically, sounds like he's retired.
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
it's like you joined a board, right? Just kind of,
yeah, let's see.
whatever. I'm
Ah,
out. Join a board.
he's 67
Yeah.
from San Jose, California. He plays both Mario and Luigi. But he's no longer playing Mario.
Hmm.
But is he still doing Luigi?
Imagine he still does one character. That'd be kind of funny.
It would be kind of funny.
He's like, you know, I'm done with Mario, but I got you, Luigi.
Hey, he retired, so
Yeah,
Kinda cool.
That's true. Yeah, I'll be curious to see more about this. We'll see what this trailer and stuff's all about. What this direct's about. You know, I'll tune in. I ain't got no responsibility tomorrow, so I'm gonna tune in.
10 a.m. on Thursday on YouTube. Probably. Do they even do this on Twitch? I don't think Nintendo is on Twitch, are they?
I don't know. I have
I've
no
always
idea.
watched them on YouTube.
Yeah, it's for me. It's been YouTube as well.
Yeah,
It's a good question.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out
as well.
Watch it be on like Kick, but not Twitch anymore. It'd be wild.
Oh, that'd be good. The ultimate troll. You know who doesn't troll though?
It's like probably one of my favorite tech companies. I mean, there's only really like 3 that I really like. The other one's Intel, but who's Intel's rival, bro?
Man.
Who's Nvidia's rival?
The amazing music distributor. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what AMD stands for, but it's AMD.
Amazing.
That's also a good question. I forgot what
Advanced
AMD stands for.
Micro Devices.
Yeah. Advanced Micro Devices.
Santa Clara, California. That's where they're from.
Santa Clara. Okay. Well, AMD is announcing the Radeon RX 7800 XT and the 7700 XT starting at $449. How about that?
Not bad.
Is AMD beginning to give Nvidia a run for its money? Oh, Sean Hollister did this one as well because we pulled it from The Verge. That's right, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen. We're sometimes too loyal to the source, but we're here.
I mean, they're usually the first ones to report on it. I think that's really why we go with them mostly.
It's true. So. They're undeniable, I have to say.
Yeah.
I just wish there were an option between the $300 and $400 marks that offered enough performance to push us firmly into the 1440p era. That was Sean Hollister's colleague, Tom Warren's conclusion, reviewing the 399 RTX 4060 Ti and the 269 Radeon RX 7600. On September 6th, AMD may come close. That's when it's shipping the brand new $449 RX 7700 XT and the $500 7800 XT with a free copy of Starfield to sweeten the pot. I think it's pretty cool. I heard about they were offering a free copy of Starfield with that. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and I know it's like kind of an AMD thing, right? Like DLSS, I don't think has support on Starfield. Yet Starfield has pushed back and said that like, we're not necessarily stopping NVIDIA if they want to do this support. So, we're promoting AMD cards really with another story. Anyway, there's some average FPS that has dropped for 1440p on a few games on PC. And it's compared between the RTX 2070 Super, the RX 5700 XT, and of course 2 new cards. And just from the chart that we could see in the video, 60 FPS, pretty much at 1440p max settings across Last of Us Part 1, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Hogwarts Legacy, and COD Modern Warfare 2. Both of these cards are hitting 60 FPS, 1440p max settings across everything. The higher end 7800 XT is about 15 frames or so higher, 15, 20 frames across the board, really, on a lot of these games. But significant improvements over a 2070 Super and a 5700 XT from what we can see charts. So,
dude, it's pretty wild because I have a 2070 Super. I have no idea what their settings are for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but I've never seen 60 frames in my life playing on 1440p max settings. That's crazy.
It's pretty wild, right?
That's got to be a CPU heavy game. Has to be.
Oh yeah.
And
I would hope it's a somewhat optimized game. It's Call of Duty, right? You're copying and pasting the IP every year, so I mean, I would hope there's some optimization.
Not really. If you played it enough, it kind of falls apart every update. But that's neither here there.
That's depressing to hear, but this isn't depressing. You know what I'm saying?
No. What AMD is doing right now is nice.
Sorry,
I'm talking over you.
Things get really interesting here, Mike. In comparisons with NVIDIA, where the $450 7700 XT might trounce the $400 GeForce 4060 Ti and the $500 7800 XT may beat the RTX 4070 in rasterized games and even a couple of ray traced ones, while leaving an entire $100 bill in your pocket. Let's look at some more for the video viewers out there. Look at some more charts, shall we? We have the 4070 12GB versus the 7800 XT 16GB, 60 plus average FPS, native 1440p with max settings. Again, I also have to preface this. This is from AMD, right? Like this is from the source. You can take it for what you will. Yeah. And a lot of these, we see this, Mike, and this is with a lot of consumer graphics and stuff like that. There's like these percentages, but there's no like, I don't see I don't see like a key anywhere. I don't see where, like most of these graphics are just like, oh, here's a 23% improvement in COD, 23% of like what metric?
What initial percent?
It's like
Yeah, that's a good
FPS, I
point.
guess. And it's a lot of these. Nvidia does the same thing. It's like you see like these improvements, and like you'll see a bar like way higher than others, but there's no like legend or key, so you can't it's like discern what it means. But they're just kind of making themselves look good. But we could see across like a majority of games, Overwatch 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Last of Us Part 1, Resident Evil 4, Ray Tracing High. I mean, a lot of these, there's, noticeable improvements. It's a higher percentage. That's all I can say. I wish I could describe it a little bit more, but it's kind of just, I guess the FPS average is higher across these.
I think that's really what they're trying to show is it's max settings native 1440p with each one of the games is averaging more than 60 frames per second. I think that's what they're trying to show.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That'd be my guess. I mean, that's the only way I can interpret this, really. I mean, we also have the 7700 XT versus the 4060 Ti, and you can see there's a lot more games in favor of AMD's new card in that graph as well. See higher percentiles across most modern day titles. And yeah, I mean, the article goes on really. And you say, so now remember, we weren't particularly impressed with the generation over generation upgrades from either of NVIDIA's cards, and we can't yet say if AMD has offered enough of an improvement to tempt gamers away from previous gen cards. But as of yesterday, a last gen 6800 XT still costs $530 at retail, and our GPU is heading in the right direction again. They're still a little large, even AMD's Radeon RX 7800 XT reference design takes up 2.5 slots worth of width in a desktop computer compared to AMD's 2-slot design with the 4070 Founders Edition and below. That requires more power too, up to 265 watts versus the 200 watts that NVIDIA needs. Their cards. Some will appreciate that they are sticking with a pair of 8-pin PCI power sockets, though. Good to see. I know that was a big. The 12-pin was a huge kind of. I feel like there was a lot of controversy with that around the 40 series, especially with the quality of the cables they give you, because it was just like it's like you'd bend it a little bit, and I feel like it's just gonna break. So it's cool to see that. Yeah, there's a whole list too of all the technical specs at boost clock, base clocks, how much memory is going to be offered with each card, compute units, for RDNA 3, and their infinity cache and kind of which display port will support. Yeah, and it seems like TDP is going to be for the 7700 XT 245 watts, 263 for the 7800 XT. So yeah, I mean, it's still power hungry cards, right? I mean, there's nothing, it's kind of, there's no surprise there though. It's just how graphics cards I think are nowadays. I will say though, definitely not as bad as some Nvidia's like needing, new power supplies for. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's the article goes on. There's some, they show kind of they show the fidelity rendering with FSR3, kind of fidelity effects, kind of AMD's proprietary upscaling technology, I guess, similar to DLSS. And you kind of see how, it shows the difference in, I don't know what, Forspoken, that's the game. I was like, look for the title. Yeah, in Forspoken, it kind of shows a comparison between, Fidelity Effects 3 compared to kind of just using kind of, I guess this is FSR off versus FSR on. I mean, it's a huge improvement in terms of frames, right? I mean, we're talking 40 plus frames, which I think, which we see similar improvements with DLSS, right? When you play like 4K and you're playing with DLSS, it's essentially upscaled, upscaled, 1080p or something like that. So, you see these huge improvements in frames. So yeah, it's Forspoken though, let's say, it's not a terrible game, but it's a game of the year.
Yeah, it's a game of the year.
It's a game of the year. We'll say it's the one, but yeah, I mean, so they kind of talk about FSR3 a little bit. It's their so FSR3 includes native anti-aliasing. It's kind of an optional new mode that uses FSR techniques to anti-alias and sharpen game graphics instead of upscaling them from a lower resolution, which is kind of similar to what DLSS does.
Right.
And then AMD says that FSR3 is already slated for Cyberpunk 2077, Forspoken, Immortals of Avium, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, Frostpunk 2, Squad, Starship Troopers. I mean, there's a lot of games that's already slated for. It says Starfield will not ship with FSR 3, but rather FSR 2. By the way, AMD says that Bethesda is welcome to add NVIDIA's DLSS to the game, which is not currently there. So again, that's kind of what I alluded to earlier. But yeah, and they show, oh my gosh, 4K FSR 3, 36 FPS versus 122 with FSR. Oh wow.
Wow.
It's I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I like that we have these kind of technologies where, one setting can kind of make 4K like gameplay, I guess is the way I'll put it. Kind of in that way. Kind of it takes what's there and kind of tweaks it so that it's more kind of usable across maybe lower end PCs, but it's very cool to see those technologies. For sure. More details about the drivers that'll launch, kind of Hyper RX and all these other features that'll be coming out with the cards. Talking about some of the it's kind of cool here. I mean, this is some of kind of the different designs, kind of PCB designs that we're seeing across like
they look
retailers.
They're aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, yes, this Sakura one, this one's pretty sick. On the white one, yeah, Sapphire Nitro is kind of making their own PCB. I like the triple fan design. I'm a fan of that. I think the cards that go with the triple fan are
I only have 2 and it makes me feel sad. I want 3.
Yeah. Oh, see, and Azu's tough. I mean, this is what I have in my 3080. I have the tough version. They don't make the flashiest cards, but they are pretty solid in terms of cooling. So, this should be a pretty big beast, I could imagine. Plus that, but yeah, it's cool to see kind of the other third party PCB designs. But yeah, Mike, I mean, what do you think overall? These 2 cards, it looks like AMD is making a 1440p contender with this card, which is cool to see. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm excited for a couple of reasons here. First and foremost, to see a card, to see AMD get back with competing against NVIDIA again, because what happened last time is like AMD kind of surpassed NVIDIA a little bit in the 20 series era. And after that, that's when like RTX went to the 30 series and it got really serious with NVIDIA, and then AMD kind of fell behind a little bit. So to see right now where it's like, okay, the 40 series cards have been out for a while and AMD is just caught up, and the form factor of the cards are smaller, which remember was a very important thing when the NVIDIA RTX 40 series launched. Like you couldn't fit the cards in your case and you couldn't cool it. You need a bigger power supply. So to see AMD come out with something that's like, it's smaller, it's like thinner and stuff like that, you can fit it now into most cases. I think this is really good just from a competitor standpoint. You have more options now. AMD is trying to drive the prices lower. It's tempting me because I have an AMD CPU to go upgrade, especially because they're directly comparing the cards with the one I own right now, NVIDIA RTX 2070 Super. And I'm singing, oh, I can double my frame rate on some of these games I want to play, like Star Wars Jedi Survivors on my list, Hogwarts Legacy on my list, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 kind of on my list. But
they made this presentation like we want to speak to Mad Mike and Mad Mike only.
kinda. But I will say there's one like thing that always gets me with the AMD graphics cards, and he mentions it, Sean Hollister. If I literally just read it. Okay. Excuse me. So here it is. Let me triple check. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is what it is. Well, FSR still works. This is the one that's underneath the Forspoken. Okay. See it? Okay. Well, FSR still works on Rival's graphics card as long as the game developers add the tech to their games. That section right there. As long as game developers add the tech to their games. Not every game is going to have this. Whereas NVIDIA has the large majority of the market share. So it's like anything that NVIDIA puts out, the game developers are like, we got to appeal to the most amount of gamers possible, most amount of customers possible. Yeah, and if you have limited amount of time, limited budget, which one do you choose? FSR or like anything with RTX or DLSS and stuff like that?
I mean, it's NVIDIA cards, bro. They have the lion's share. What can you say? It's like
it's also why like Intel has the major lion's share with CPUs. Yeah, really,
certainly,
and that's why like a lot of games run really, really well, specifically on Intel, and not so well sometimes on AMD. It's getting way better. Don't get me wrong. Like AMD CPUs are like jumping crazy well with like price to performance ratios.
Right. Yeah.
Performance to price ratios, whatever you want to say it.
Yeah. It's true, man. It really is, and I think it's definitely a consideration to make if you're going AMD, right? Because yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
great, but especially a lot of the technologies that these distributors like kind of promote nowadays, it's very much dependent and reliant on these developers to actually use this tech. So it's kind of thing you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. You kind of have to look at it at different angles. Kind of have to see what works best for you, but yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm all for technologies like FSR and like DLSS, right? Because it makes 4K more accessible, I think. Um, but but at the same time, yeah, you're relying on devs to kind of push it,
Put it in
So
the game. I mean, it really goes back to what we started talking about on the podcast multiple times about all these new games coming out and their performance ratios. I feel like the hardware is already there. Like we're there. We should be able to run most of these games at like 4K with like a modern like you said you had a 3080.
yeah,
That should be able to run 4K 120 frames per second with ease on most titles. But because some games aren't optimized properly or they're rushed and complete kind of crap, their own game engines are not capable of doing that, you know?
yeah,
And they'll become completely unstable after certain limit has
mhm,
thresholds been met. I think the software of the games and how developers work need to complement the hardware now.
yeah.
I think that's where we're at. That's the bottleneck is the game itself now.
It's crazy, man. I never thought there would be a time where the hardware would outrun the software, but I think we're kind of at that point. It's crazy, right?
I
Like,
I think we are. We are. I think we probably are because now the graphics cards have software in it. Like
yeah,
RTX
yeah.
voice is what I use when I'm talking.
It's true. Yeah.
I
I
have like
mean,
rendering software that's using the GPU that's like native to the GPU. It's kind of wild.
yeah, it's crazy.
So
We're finding these technologies to be able to run like 4K games and stuff like that without the need of relying as much on the hardware, right? Because like
yeah,
it's just rendering tricks to trick the graphics
it-
card into running kind of at a at a more efficient
exactly.
rate, right? Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
'cause I feel like the game isn't there yet, which
yeah,
is how. But hey,
yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. It's crazy stuff. But but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's cool to see that they're kind of competing at a 1440p level because yeah, there definitely wasn't like a market on the AMD side. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of when you factor everything in, it's like, I mean, we'll see how many people actually go with these type of cards. I know there's still a decent amount of people that use AMD cards, but I know for me, it's like I don't know. I'm like loyal to Nvidia. I feel like at this point when it comes to graphics, anyway. So it'd be
they're
hard for
trusted.
me to switch.
I will say they're trusted in a lot of ways. But I think when the relationship with EVGA got
Yeah,
broken apart, that
yeah.
was kind of eye opening about Nvidia's tactics of what they're trying to
It's a
do.
good point. Yeah, it is a really
So
good point.
I feel like AMD hasn't lost it. And a lot of people think like AMD is really small. They're actually not. You know, it's like
I mean, they're not. Yeah,
they're
they
like
have
pretty massive.
they have certainly they have gotten themselves back in the market too, especially on the CPU side with the release of Ryzen. Like
Oh
that
my
actually
gosh.
brought them back into the market. So
Oh
it was not even a
yeah.
competition before that, but then they actually hired some good engineers. They made what
Yeah.
became Ryzen. So
Yeah, they basically hired the old Intel engineers and they redid all of AMD's CPUs. And now, like, all these Ryzen chips are in, I don't know exactly what chips are in it, but I know for a fact they're AMD chips that are in all the Xbox Series,
yeah, like
all the
consoles.
PlayStation. A lot of them are, like, ending up in phones now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean,
So,
definitely on the non PC side, AMD has
oh,
the broader
smart
market,
chip
right? Yeah.
for sure, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
And a
they're
lot of,
dominating. So
yeah, it's an attractive option for companies as well, like day-to-day businesses that need that CPU hardware, but they don't want to spend the extra money. So
yeah,
like, it's like I don't know how to say it. It's like almost like AMD's kind of a Toyota. It'll last for a while, do what you need it to do. But if you want that BMW, want that Mercedes Benz, that Cadillac, you got to go. Not the Cadillac, that was ridiculous. Uh, foreign luxury brands, you got to go with
yeah,
Intel. You know
yeah,
that kind of thing.
sure, yeah. And this is kind of a
Yeah.
side note too, but something I noticed, especially with the newer consoles, is like when you actually tear it apart and you take like the CPU off and stuff like that, and the fans and whatnot. It's actually liquid metal now. It's not like thermal paste, which is interesting, especially on PlayStation. Like it's liquid metal now. They use to cool it, which is never been done before. But I guess it's
Yeah.
better.
Kind of makes sense. Everything's getting hotter. The technology, that stuff's cheaper now. That's a key thing to remember. Like the last generation, probably it was like, yeah, let's just do thermal paste. Now it's like, oh, we already have like metal to cool things.
Yeah,
You know,
it's interesting though. It's cool to see that. Like, it's weird how kind of PlayStation does it, but I would assume it's better thermals, which is why they went with it. But
oh, for sure, they probably needed it. That thing probably could catch on fire. You
yeah,
know,
it probably cooks.
we don't need any more red ring of deaths. Nintendo's never had it.
Oh man,
There's a reason.
it's so crazy too.
There's a reason.
Not only Red Ring of Death, but also the Yellow Light of Death with PS3s. Like how that plagued the OG like fat PS3s. I saw like a documentary on that.
I forgot about that.
It is so crazy because like people do like reflows and stuff to try and get essentially like the kind of the thermal beads and stuff on the CPU. They want to essentially like melt it down so that it has a better contact. But it's like even that's like kind of a temporary thing and it's not going to last. And it's just like it was the original PS3s, like the CPU design was fundamentally flawed from the start, and like so that's why most of those boards now are just like useless because it's like they just messed it up. But those are the most sought after ones because you can play like any PlayStation game on. I'm pretty sure it's like PS1, 2, and 3 you can all play on that thing. So it's like it's the most sought after thing. But they just messed it up.
I never knew
crazy.
that. Okay, thank you. I just learned something new today.
I'll see you that documentary. It's pretty cool. Like it's a guy that essentially dedicated like 2 to 3 years of his life just trying to figure out what the main overall cause of like the Yellow Light of Death was in the original PlayStations because they are such sought after devices. It's crazy, man. It's like wild. I was glued to the screen for like an hour and a half, however long it was. It's pretty cool stuff. So
yeah, send it my way after we get done recording. I want to check it out. Maybe not tonight. I'm pretty sleepy. It's been jet lag is taking a hold of me right now. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I've been struggling so much on reading.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, also too, I think the PlayStation stuff is kind of similar to the 360 and kind of what the Red Ring of Death was. So it's like it was a similar kind of vein of why they both failed. But it's interesting, man. I haven't seen that.
I felt like the Red Ring of Death was so massive though when it happened.
I mean, like,
everybody got it at one point.
Could you imagine being the business people in the meeting trying to explain, like, oh, we just shipped out millions of faulty consoles, and we're going to have to, and there's going to be billions of dollars of damage control we're going to have to do. It's like,
who do you think got fired first? R&D or Q&A?
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. It's one of those things like...
I mean, they both got fired. It had to.
I mean, yeah.
Who got fired first?
But it's like, dude, they designed those consoles. It was so rushed, and they just like used a technique that just was not meant to work long term, and they couldn't do long term testing, so ship it out. Like, man,
gosh,
dude, it's wild, man. The history of consoles. I know Xbox's documentary is really good on that, kind of talking about that. I think there's a lot of things they left out, but you know, it's Xbox, so they're not going to put everything in. But it's cool to at least kind of see that kind of stuff, and then just seeing all these other documentaries from like modders and stuff like that who've like dedicated years of their life to figure out what happened and like how everything kind of went down.
I find that stuff fascinating, man.
It's wild, man. There's cool content out there on the video game. It ties into video game history, which again, like one day we just need to like hammer out some video game history because it's really cool to see like the history of consoles and how everything evolved.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I think either Amazon Prime, Hulu, or Netflix. I think I saw it on Netflix. They were going through the history of gaming, and they started in the 80s with like Pong, and then like sped run it into. It was about gaming competitions, and they would concentrate on fighting games a little bit too.
Yeah,
this is really fascinating stuff.
There's some documentaries I've heard about like video game history. I think on like Netflix too that I've like heard like I should check out. So yeah, I'll have to
7 Days Out has a segment about I think League of Legends. Like the lead up to the world championship for League of Legends and what they had to do to get everything set up, and then what goes on during it. It's like
I can't imagine.
Kind of nuts. Gosh. Yeah, got a lot of respect for people that run tournaments for sure. That stuff's a nightmare. Just I do it online and it's trash. I don't run it, but I'm like I participate. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
takes some smart individuals.
Yeah. You know how long we've been talking, man? We gotta let the people go.
We do, Mike.
we've been chatting. We chatted for like 30 minutes before the episode started. I gave like a life story. It was crazy. Yeah, I blame you for choosing Ayaneo Kun as one of the topics I had to cover. I blame you. I spent all my time on that. But let's close out. Let's let the people know where they can find everything. It's in the description below. Wherever you're watching, if you're listening, we got tiny URL links. You can just go down there, you click it. We have a timestamp for everything. The description of the article that we covered, you click it, and then you go to the original source. Give them love, for sure.
For sure. Pro show.
So, yep. Anyways, this has been, dude, we're episode 34. Next one's in September, man. We're crushing it this year. We appreciate everybody for listening, subscribing, liking, checking anything out, commenting, even though some of them is kind of hurtful, but not really. Mostly funny. I like it. I don't know about you, though.
I like it too.
It's funny.
Not gonna lie.
I like interaction. So, without further ado, I'm Michael Anthony. It's Kyle Heath over here. This is the M2 Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And check us out next week. We'll be back covering next month's new games.
Oh, yeah. You already know. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Sir. See ya. Peace out.